I almost think it doesn't make a lot of difference.
I agree.
Can we have a
New voice.
new voice? Not that we don't.
I've tried to follow this in the newspapers for some months now, and I've heard the discussion and so forth. So I'm not as qualified as many people in this room to talk about these things, but it does seem to me that any organization does not want to limit the pool of people and the talent that it can have to fulfill, the highest position. In this case, the town manager. To me, you really can open up, and I've had some management experience with organizations, as most all of us have too. You really open up a can of worms if you start to make categories of people who can come in, do service, but then they can't have higher positions. I would think that quite logically would create a lot of morale issues in the people who are working in various town positions. If they know that any time there's a town manager open, they're going to have to be dealing with somebody from Ohio or somebody from another town just by some kind of rule. No organization can, I think, logically, and I think a lot of citizens would agree with me, no organization can run well where the people who are in it, working it, can never have advancement. It just doesn't make sense that you don't have that opportunity open. Now, you wouldn't necessarily mandate it, but you have your 5 selectmen who are specifying where they have to do a search. It has to be open. We certainly in this town or any town, there's plenty of people helping them do the management process. Can watch as they are interviewing and looking at the available pool in town as well as anywhere else in the world. So I don't see why it doesn't do a good service to this town to limit our ability to get leaders that are really qualified. That would be a prescription for low morale and bad choices, I think, in the future. The idea of why you only segregate the selectmen in this is because they have direct supervisory role over the town management, that they have much more power, and that makes sense that you wouldn't have that revolving door. But that's the only restriction that I can think that we should have in trying to both have good morale and bringing people to serve on committees and to be an open town, to be a trusting town for sure, and to ensure that we have a good, healthy search for leadership. And that once that leadership gets in place, that they need to be accepted by all the people who work in the town. I mean, there's a prescription for rebellion and disagreement to bring in somebody from New York or Louisiana or California who's never had any familiarity with Cohasset and deal with all of the politics and the people. It's just that no organization that I know of runs that way. So I would strongly, encourage this language to stay limiting it to the selectmen can't run. And that makes sense because they have the power and the revolving door of the year. But to not restrict it, to not allow that search to have all the talent of people that we get to know and live in the community, just does not. There's no organizations run that way. I don't think a town could effectively run if we restricted the leadership that way.
In the case of a company, people who aren't going to be able to get advanced are going to leave and go to another company and make that a good company. In the case of the town, what are you going to do about a town? No. If you think there's a chance that you're going to be excluded from that position, you're not going to volunteer for anything. So, yeah, I agree. I think I can see the selectmen having a 15-month period, particularly if they have to start the search with the person within 30 or 60 or whatever days. But to exclude people because they volunteer, and these are people who are already showing they're interested in the town, they're interested in doing or giving their time to the town, and to say to them, thanks, but we're only going to let you do so much.